History is filled with figures who remain wrapped in mystery, leaving behind questions that have never been fully answered. From rulers who vanished without a trace to cryptic wanderers and secretive leaders, these individuals continue to fascinate and puzzle historians. Their lives spark tons of theories and speculation, proving that sometimes the greatest riddles are people themselves. So join us as we look at the 15 mysterious people that were spotted in real life. Number 15. Zana of Abkhazia. In the late 19th century, a Russian landowner named Janaba captured a towering, hair-covered woman in the remote mountains of Abkhazia. He named her Zana. She stood nearly 6 feet and 7 inches tall, with reddish-black hair and overwhelming strength. Zana was imprisoned and exhibited as a curiosity, with rumors spreading that she was an almasty, a creature from Russian folklore, well similar to the infamous Bigfoot. She never spoke, slept in a pit she dug herself, and shredded any clothing given to her. Locals said she outran horses, swam through raging rivers, and endured brutal winters without shelter. Over time, she adjusted slightly, helped with simple chores like grinding corn, and had 6 children by village men. Some of her descendants still live in the area. In 2021, DNA tests confirmed she was fully human, possibly of African ancestry, and may have had hypertrichosis. Still, the stories of her physical power and animal-like behavior blur the line between folklore, survival, and cruelty. Number 14. Oliver the Human Chimp. In the 1970s, a chimpanzee named Oliver began drawing attention due to his human-like traits. Found in the Congo, Oliver walked upright, had a flatter face, and lacked the prominent brow ridge seen in most chimps. Rumors spread that he might be a human-ape hybrid, a so-called human Z. His handlers, Frank and Janet Berger, showcased him on talk shows where he was seen drinking coffee, lighting cigars, and even mixing cocktails. Audiences were stunned. Some speculated he was the product of a genetic experiment or the missing link in evolution. It didn't help that he reportedly had 47 chromosomes, halfway between humans, 46, and chimpanzees, 48. Scientists eventually identified him as a regular chimp, likely from a rare Gabonese group known for upright posture. Still, Oliver avoided other chimps, preferred human company, and supposedly showed inappropriate interest in human women, which unnerved handlers. He died in 2012 in a Texas sanctuary. To this day, his story still feels too bizarre to forget. Number 13. Jerome of Sandy Cove. In 1863, a man was found lying on the beach at Sandy Cove, Nova Scotia. His legs were gone, his body weakened, but his wounds had been recently treated by someone with medical skill. He had bread, a jug of water, and a tin of biscuits with him. When questioned, he only muttered something that sounded like Jerome, and the name stuck. He spoke neither English nor French and growled when spoken to. His hands were smooth, suggesting he hadn't worked manual labor, and many guessed he was from the Mediterranean. At first, he stayed with the Albright family near Digby Neck, then moved between homes. The provincial government gave a small stipend for his care. Eventually, he lived with the Nicola family, then spent 40 years with the Camo family in Saint-Alain-d'Erquilly. Tourists paid to see him. He died on April 15, 1912, the same day the Titanic sank. His true name, past, and origins were never uncovered. Number 12. The Wild Man of Orford. In the 12th century, fishermen off the coast of Suffolk pulled something bizarre into their nets, a naked, hairy man later known as the Wild Man of Orford. Chronicler Ralph of Coggeshall wrote that the man, captured near Orford Castle around 1167, looked human, but was covered in thick hair with a tangled beard. He ate raw fish by squeezing out the juice and refused to speak, even while tortured. When taken to St. Bartholomew's Church, he showed no reverence whatsoever, confusing his captors. Under strict watch, he was once allowed to swim in the sea, but he slipped beneath the water, came up a few times, and then vanished forever. Some said he was a merman. Others guessed he was a castaway with hypertrichosis, but his silence and bizarre escape still fuel speculation. The wild man remains a symbol of Orford, etched into local legend and church carvings, a reminder that no one ever figured out what really came out of the water that year. Number 11. The Mad Gasser of Mattoon. In the late summer of 1944, the town of Mattoon was shaken by reports of a strange prowler later called the Mad Gasser. On August 31st, local resident Urban Raef woke up to a sweet, choking smell and immediately became nauseous. His wife, checking the stove, suddenly lost feeling in her legs. The next night, another woman, Aline Kearney, noticed the same odor. She also felt paralyzed, and her husband saw a tall man in dark clothes fleeing their property. Over the following weeks, more than 20 others reported dizziness, coughing, and partial paralysis, often alongside sightings of a shadowy figure with a device spraying gas into homes. Panic spread. Residents formed patrols. The FBI got involved. But no chemical evidence was ever found, and most victims recovered quickly. Authorities blamed wartime stress and local rumors. A chemist named Farley Llewellyn was briefly considered a suspect, but was cleared. Whether hoax, hysteria, or a real attacker, the case remains one of America's strangest mysteries. Number 10. The Fox-Human Hoax. In 2009, a grainy video uploaded from a village in Pakistan claimed to show a strange creature, something between a fox and a human. Its body looked malformed, and its face uncannily resembled a person. The video exploded online. Viewers around the world were fascinated, shocked, and full of theories. Experts, however, dismissed it quickly, calling it a taxidermy stunt, a disfigured animal, or possibly a movie prop. No location was ever confirmed, no owner stepped forward, and no follow-up details emerged. But in Pakistan's rural areas, where old stories about shapeshifters, jinns, and cursed hybrids still thrive, the video sparked serious conversation. The imagery hit that uncomfortable nerve between myth and mutation. Was it a man, a beast, or a manipulation of both? It might have been fake, but the unease it stirred was very real. People still share it today, unsure what to believe. Proof that we know nothing. Number 9. The Human-Dog Hybrid. Video footage once surfaced showing a creature with a human-like face and dog-like body, setting off a wave of speculation about whether it was a human-animal hybrid. The clip was shared widely and caught massive online attention. But the origin of the footage remains unknown, and no credible information ever followed, only adding to the mystery. Some thought it showed an actual hybrid. Others dismissed it as a hoax or misidentified footage. The creature's face was unsettling. Human-shaped eyes, jawline, and skin tone sitting on a body that moved more like an animal than anything else. People noted that its movements didn't match any known species. The creature's walk looked off, jerky and inconsistent with typical quadrupeds. Despite all the attention, no follow-up investigation ever confirmed or denied the video's authenticity. What's certain is that the image stayed burned into memory, and the conversation hasn't stopped. Whatever it was, it still leaves people wondering where science ends and fiction begins. Number 8. Le Loyon. Le Loyon, or Ghost of Malls, was a mysterious figure seen roaming the forests near malls. From the early 2000s to 2013, witnesses described him as tall, around 6 feet 3 inches, always cloaked in military-style gear and wearing a vintage gas mask that completely hid his face. Locals started spotting him during Sunday hikes. Some saw him picking wildflowers. Others simply watched him pass by in eerie silence. He never spoke, never approached anyone, and never acted aggressively. In August 2013, a hiker took the first known photo of him, which was published by the newspaper La Liberté. Shortly after, his gas mask and cloak were found abandoned in the woods, along with a handwritten note titled The Death Certificate and Testament of the Ghost of Malls. In it, he blamed the photo and press coverage for destroying what he called his happiness therapy. The letter ended with, "The ghost disappears." He was never seen again. Number 7. Albert Johnson. Albert, a.k.a. the Mad Trapper of Rat River, is one of Canada's most baffling figures. In 1931, he appeared without warning in Fort McPherson, Northwest Territories, and built a cabin near the Rat River without a trapping license. Indigenous trappers soon accused him of sabotaging their traps and claimed he'd threatened them with a rifle. On December 26th, 2 Royal Canadian Mounted Police officers approached his cabin. Without a word, Johnson fired through the door, injuring one officer. This triggered one of Canada's most intense manhunts. RCMP, assisted by Indigenous trackers, pursued Johnson across frozen terrain for over a month. He endured sub-zero temperatures, avalanche zones, and starvation. On February 17, 1932, police finally caught him near Eagle River. A fierce shootout followed, and Johnson was killed. His identity was never verified. DNA testing later linked him to Swedish ancestors named Gustaf and Brita Svensson, but nothing certain ever surfaced. His name, motives, and past remain unsolved. Number 6. Internet horror icon. Ayuwoki began as a meme and mutated into an internet horror figure that terrified a generation. The name is a phonetic spin on the line, "Annie, are you okay?" from Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal, which in Spanish pronunciation sounds like Ayuwoki. It started with a YouTube video uploaded in 2009 titled My Ghoul Jackson, featuring a jerky animatronic Michael lookalike, originally built from a repurposed Elvis robot. Its glitchy movements and twisted face scared more than it amused. By 2019, Spanish-speaking online communities had turned Ayuwoki into a full-blown urban legend. In fan stories, the creature appears in dark bedrooms, whispering, "Hee hee," just before jumping out. The meme exploded further when the horror game Escape the Ayuwoki was released, letting players sneak through a mansion stalked by the monster. While absurd on the surface, Ayuwoki joined other internet-born cryptids like Slender Man and Momo, proving the web doesn't just spread fear, it built it from pixels and paranoia. Number 5. Badgeman and the JFK assassination. Badgeman remains one of the most controversial figures in the endless theories surrounding President Kennedy's assassination. The name comes from a blurry figure spotted in the famous Mary Mormon Polaroid, taken just seconds after the fatal shot in Dallas on November 22, 1963. In the photo, some claimed they could see a man in a uniform standing behind the picket fence on the grassy knoll, with a badge glinting on his chest. Conspiracy theorists quickly latched onto the idea that Badgeman was a second gunman, possibly a rogue officer. In the 1980s, researcher Gary Mack obtained a sharper copy of the image and, with photo expert Jack White, argued that the figure was real. Critics said it was an illusion, just shadows and foliage. Still, the idea stuck. If the figure really existed, he would have been in the perfect position for a second shot. No identity was ever confirmed. Whether illusion or key clue, Badgeman never disappeared. Number 4. Bella of the Witch Elm. In 1943, during the height of World War II, 4 boys playing in Hagley Wood near Stourbridge, England, stumbled upon a skull lodged inside the hollow trunk of a wych elm. Police later uncovered more: an almost complete skeleton, a shoe, scraps of clothing, and a cheap wedding ring. A severed hand was found buried nearby. The remains were of a woman in her 30s, roughly 5 feet tall, with mousy brown hair and bad teeth. A piece of taffeta stuffed in her mouth suggested suffocation, and signs indicated her body had been hidden in the tree shortly after death. Wartime chaos stalled identification efforts. Missing people were common. Authorities reviewed thousands of cases, but no match ever surfaced. Then came the graffiti. Starting around Christmas 1943, someone began scrawling the phrase, "Who put Bella in the Wych Elm?" across buildings in the Midlands. Some suspected Nazi spy Clara Bowerly, but no proof ever emerged. To this day, Bella's identity, and her killer, remains unknown. Number 3. The Somerton Man. This man's case remains one of Australia's most haunting mysteries. On December 1st, 1948, a well-dressed, unidentified man was found dead on Somerton Beach near Adelaide. He carried no ID, and every label had been cut from his clothes. In a hidden pocket, police found a scrap of paper reading "Tamam Shud," meaning ended, the final line from the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. Soon after, a copy of the book turned up in a man's car nearby. It contained strange handwritten codes and a phone number linked to a nurse who lived close to the scene. For decades, theories ranged from Cold War espionage to personal tragedy. In 2021, his body was exhumed. A year later, DNA results identified him as Carl Charles Webb, a Melbourne-born electrical engineer. But the why behind his death still has no clear answer. No cause of death was confirmed, and no link to spy networks was proven. The man is known, the mystery still isn't. Number 2. Man of the Hole. Known only by nicknames, the Last Tribesman or the Man of the Hole, this unidentified man was first spotted in 1996, living alone in a protected stretch of Amazon rainforest. Believed to be the final survivor of his uncontacted indigenous tribe, his language, origin, and true name were never discovered. He built huts from palm leaves and branches, each with a 6-foot-deep pit dug in the center. Some think the holes were hunting traps. Others believe they were for protection, or part of a lost tradition. He grew crops like manioc, papaya, and corn, but avoided all contact. In 2007, Brazil's Indigenous Affairs Agency protected over 31 square miles of his territory by law, expanding it again later. No outsiders were allowed in. He remained a mystery, healthy, alone, and silent. In 2022, he was found lying in his hammock, surrounded by feathers. He had died naturally, still unknown to the world. He left no name and no words. Number 1. Ibrahim Yugul in the Cage. In 2010, a disturbing video surfaced on YouTube showing a man named Ibrahim sitting in a metal cage somewhere in Turkey, calmly smoking a cigarette as a group of people looked on. The footage was grainy, the sound distorted, but Yugul's stillness was haunting. No one spoke. There were no records, context, or explanation of who he was or why he was caged. Some viewers believed he was mentally ill and was being kept by relatives. Others speculated he was part of a freak show, or locked up after a violent dispute, or was a smoker. Some dismissed the clip as staged, made purely for internet shock. But the image stuck. A silent, thin man, staring forward while others watched. It echoed older traditions of spectacle, humiliation, and forced isolation. With no follow-up and nothing more than the footage itself, the mystery only deepened. What happened to Yugul, and why no one ever came forward, is still unanswered. The cage remains, but the story vanished. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like it, share it, and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for hanging with us, and we'll see you soon.